The next instrument I'm going to demonstrate is the Posterior Explorer. You can see it's meant to go posterior because it has all these different bends in it. And usually an instrument that goes in the posterior regions is bendy. So in order to find the right working end, you always check it on the distal of the tooth. You use this terminal shank, which is the shank right before the toe of the instrument, to check it. And you always want this parallel with the distal of the tooth. So I'm going to show you the wrong way to check it and the right way to check it, how you would check the right end. Okay, this is the distal of the tooth, and this terminal shank should be parallel with the distal, parallel with the long axis of the tooth. So that looks pretty parallel. Let me check the other end and you can see why that one wouldn't be. If it crosses over the crown of the tooth, you know you've got it wrong. Now you could make this parallel by taking the handle and cranking it all the way back, but I would be down the patient's throat. So therefore, the first way I had it would be the correct way. So I'm going to insert it at the distal line angle. You always insert at the distal line angle. I'm going up into the sulcus, and I'm going to walk it back to the distal of the tooth, get up into that caul. I'm going to have the instrument placed at the bottom of the sulcus, which is the junctional epithelium, and I'm going to walk it like I'm walking down the steps. And I'm going to be exploring. The lighter feel that I explore, the more I'm going to feel something, and I am actually hooked on a piece of calculus. So I know this patient has a good bit of calculus on the distal buccal of tooth number 3. I can't go no further with this Explorer because I'm actually hooked on some calculus. So now I'm going to check the entire facial part of the tooth and the mesial. So I'm going to retrieve that Explorer. I'm going to just pivot it because what works on the distal is going to work on the entire facial of this tooth. Again, I insert at the distal line angle. I keep that tip 1/3 of my toe adapted to the root of the tooth, and I mini walk it like a little, I call it like a little zigzag sewing machine. As I come around the mesial line angle, I'm rolling that instrument and keeping that toe 1/3 adapted to the root surface. I'm going all the way up into the caul, down into the junctional, at the base of the pocket, and I'm feeling for calculus. That light feel will feel it better. And again, I feel a little click of calculus up in the mesial area. So I know I'm going to have to go back and use my instruments to remove that calculus on both the distal of tooth number 3 and the mesial of tooth number 3. I feel a little ledge of calculus. So now I'm ready to go on to tooth number 4. Again, I insert at the distal line angle. My tip of my instrument is going towards the distal, and I'm going to feel the distal. And I'm slowly walking it down the root of the tooth. I'm all the way into that caul, and I feel some roughness up in that area as well. So I know I'm going to go back to that area and smooth that up and remove that calculus. Now I'm going to check the whole facial of the tooth. So I'm going to just pivot the instrument, insert at the distal line angle, but my tip is going in the direction that I want it to go. And I'm rocking, I'm doing a wrist rock and a roll at the same time. I'm rolling that instrument between my thumb and my 4 fingers. And now I'm going up into the caul, deep up into the caul, because you want to feel that wing of calculus. And I'm up in there on the mesial of that area. Okay, now we're going to check this tooth number 5. Again, insert at the distal line angle. Make sure the toe is facing into the distal, and you're going up and feeling for that calculus. The light tactile sensitivity will feel the best. And I feel just a little bit up in there. Again, I'm going to check the whole facial of the tooth and the mesial, so I still insert at the distal line angle, and I'm going to check. And then again, at the mesial line angle, I start rolling, 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 and keep that tip 1/3 of that toe adapted to the tooth and the root surface. And I'm going to go up into the mesial, and I feel a little click of calculus up in there as well. And so I know he's got a lot of interproximal calculus. So therefore, I'm going to teach this patient how to really get up there and floss well. And I may even give him another little aid that can help him remove that plaque biofilm so it won't calcify and mineralize and turn into the calculus. And then on top of the calculus, you get new plaque biofilm. And so I'm going to teach him how to get in there. And you can see that I got some BOP pretty much all over the place. Bleeding when instrumentating or bleeding upon probing is an indication of disease. So I know this needs to be removed out of here, this calcified deposits, and then I know good oral hygiene instructions will have to be given to this patient. And that ends my posterior exploring